Breedinum Radio, brought to you by Pertnear Outdoors, your source for all things deer hunting and the rut here in New York State, right in your backyard, so you can get up in the stand and pound them all season long.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Week 2, Part 1 of Breedinum Radio here with us at Pertnear Outdoors, where we are highlighting some successful hunts from around the New York State area, but certainly seems to be that we are highlighting naturally on the Western New York area. So this week we got a few good stories coming to you. On Part 1 here, you'll hear from our Uncle Tim Harvey. He shot a beautiful buck in Lima last Saturday, I believe it was. On the family farm there. So congrats to Uncle Tim. We'll hear that story. And Justin Pfalzer will join us from Genesee County out East Pembroke, Batavia area to hear the story about his buck he shot last Thursday night. So a couple good stories coming to you. We'll have another episode dropping on Friday morning with a couple more and lead you into hopefully a good weekend that we have coming at us with a nice strong cold front hitting Thursday night into Friday and a couple nice cold days to hunt this weekend. So good luck to everybody out there, and thanks for following along.
All right. Ready?
Yeah, good.
Yeah, you ready?
Yes. How about
You ever
now?
done that? You ever done this before?
You ever post a video to Facebook?
Damn it, that was gonna be my next line. Well, welcome back to the podcast, Tim.
Well, thank you. It's good to be here. Usually means something good happened.
Yeah, it seems like a lot of good is just continuing to happen for you.
I know. Been pretty fortunate, you know.
I don't know if you're willing to let somebody borrow that horseshoe or.
Yeah, it's a little bit dirty. They may not want it.
So, this past weekend, you harvested a nice buck, and we just wanted to catch up with you and grab your story. So I'll just kind of turn it over to you and let you kind of set the stage on the hunt, and maybe if you had any pictures of them leading up to it, just anything you can think of that kind of correlates with how the hunt went, and we'll go from there.
Yeah. On a back note, like this stand is a new stand I put up last year. Same area I basically hunted, but started to move stands around, trying to, maybe get a better jump on the deer. And last year I shot a decent 8-point out of that same stand, a little bit later in season. And then it probably wasn't 100 yards from there that I shot that real nice one in a different stand with a muzzle loader, that big bastard. So put some trail cams up out there around that location. And, in the summer, and I got a couple of good pictures of, there's some scrapper bucks and a couple of decent ones right in that area, one out by the field edge. It's on the south end, the east end of a swamp, big oblong swamp and pond. And then it's a big, thick goldenrod field that's slowly getting overgrown. But that corner I'm at, I mow some sporadic paths through it, so it doesn't get completely overgrown, but I don't flat out mow it. So I had a camera on the corner of that field, and then I'm in an oak tree on the edge of that. I put it there last year, and behind me, it goes into open woods, some brush, and then into open woods, and they've been real active in that corner. So in the summer,
you seeing any acorns off of that, off of the oaks this year in there?
It's funny, not a lot off of that oak tree. A lot of other ones in other places I've seen a lot, but on that tree, not a lot for some weird reason. Big mature oak tree, and there's some on the ground, but not hammered, So I had a camera in a little ways, and then one on the corner of the field. And then I sent some pictures of some bucks and a couple good ones. And then last year, I had a nice 10-point come in. I don't know if you remember, I had my bow hanging at the bottom of the tree. I decided to get out a little early, stupid reason, which I never usually do. And he came up and he looked at the camera. It really surprised me. He had really noticed the camera, and it wasn't live as I pulled the card off of it and turned it off before I got in the tree. But anyways, I had some cameras up, got a couple pictures of a nice deer. And I said, I'm just going to pull my cameras out of there because I'm going to hunt right near there. And they had pictures of 2 9-points, and one had an extra point on the right side and one on the left. And so I said, well, there's a couple decent bucks there, and we decided I want to make sure we're trying to grow some larger deer if you can. Still want meat in the freezer, but it's nice and fun to have some bigger bucks running around.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I knew there's a couple there, and I felt a little bit funny. Like last year, I had a great year. I shot 2 nice bucks off it, and my brother Chris and my nephew Sean were out there, and I'm like, well, I'll try not to, I didn't want to just go whacking too many deer this year.
Yeah.
I want them to get some deer. I want everybody to, have a good year. And I said, we'll hold off and shoot decent deer. So I hunted that stand opening Saturday evening, and I saw 10 deer out of that stand. But nothing real impressive. I had a couple of small bucks coming by me, and a doe and a button buck. And then I didn't hunt it Sunday. And then I didn't get back out there again until the following weekend. It was too windy on Saturday. And I did hunt a different stand Saturday morning, but then Saturday evening I didn't hunt it. Some wind. It kind of got windier and rainier. And then Sunday morning I figured, you know what, I'll go out and hunt that stand again. I want to see what's going on in the morning there. And my brother Chris there, Uncle Chris, he had a stand way across the field by another swamp. And they said they've been seeing a decent buck there where son Joe shot that one. I think you talked to Joe.
Yeah.
They had hunted there again after that and saw a nice buck. So anyways, we get out early, get in the stand, I climb up, and it's dark out, and it was early. It was probably gets shooting light around 7. It wasn't, but maybe 5 or no more than 10 after 7, somewhere in there. I look to my left and I see a decent 8-point, not a monster, but just a nice one coming across the field from the north to me, and Chris is to the north. And I'm thinking, I wonder if he saw it. But I'm looking at it and I'm like, well, it's not real big. It's nice. I'd like to shoot it, but I should not mess with that one. Let it go. And as it's coming down closer to me, right up the edge of the mowed path I have by the pond in the swamp, I look, and it happens to be another buck coming up from that way towards me. And they kind of go by each other. It's really weird. And he goes to the direction back to the north Chris was going or hunting in. And I looked at him and I saw it. I said, damn, that's a good buck. I said, I'll shoot that one. And he was 40, 50 yards out and going away. And I'm looking at him, and I have binoculars. And I'm like, okay, which one is he? And I said, okay, he's one of the 9-points there. He's got taller tines. He's a decent one. And I'm like, all right, I'm going to text Chris, say, hey, nice buck coming your way. And he gets 40 yards out in the intersection of my paths. He stopped and for some reason turned and started walking towards me down the path that angles down in front of me. And I was like, damn, he's going to come. I know he's going to walk right down to me. So there's a couple of big bushes out there, one at 30 yards from me and one about 25 yards from me, but he's angling closer and closer towards me. So I've always, played it out like I did with that 10-point that I didn't get a shot at. I knew how I would play it. Say, when he gets behind the big bush, stand up.
If your bow was in the tree, how would I play this?
Yeah, if my bow was in my hand and not at the bottom, how would I have done that? So, and I've relived that over and over. This is a little redemption because this deer did what that 10-point did. And so I got up, and then I waited for him to go behind the other bush, and I drew back, and I just waited and let him get closer and closer. And I was trying to wait for a good shot, and I was kind of being a little picky. And he just kept walking, and finally he was like 15, 18 yards from me, and walking into the brush. And I said, you better shoot. And I was actually, it was kind of fun. My heart was going a little bit because I was not expecting a shot. And so I did stop him and made a little blat noise, just stopped him. As soon as he stopped, I touched off. And the arrow, I actually hit a couple inches back further than I wanted to. But man, I heard the pop when I hit, and he took off and ran into the thick brush. He was on right in the corner, and he ran away from me right into that thicket. And I heard crashing, and it cut around a little bit to the south. It was like quiet for like 5 seconds or maybe 10. It's tough to tell real time.
Yeah.
And then I heard a bunch of crashing and thrashing. And I'm like, damn, pretty sure he's down, and that was it. So I sent Chris a text, and he actually heard me. He's on the other side of the field. It was so dead quiet. He heard me shoot and heard the deer run off in the brush. And he told me later, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, that's
And,
awesome.
Yeah, so I texted him and said, hey, I shot a decent buck, 9-point. He's like, holy shit, that's pretty cool. And I'm thinking, I felt bad. I'm like, you guys got to be hating me right now. I keep shooting decent bucks, but I'm like, what are you going to do,
Yeah, so that's you got a good one with your bow out of the same tree last year.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
you shot that big son of a bitch with your muzzleloader.
Yeah, in a stand I can see from that stand. It's probably 80 yards away.
And then you got the big turkey. And then you got a bear already this year. So this is your second archery kill.
Already. Oh, just so you know, it's the same arrow. I'm using those full metal jackets. It's the same arrow I used on the last 3 animals I killed with my bow. The deer, the bear, then the deer again.
I was going to ask you what you were shooting there for a setup.
Yeah, shooting the full metal jackets. Actually, I can show you. If you got a second.
I got a second.
It's all about me right now. But yeah. Oh yeah, love the little. Oh, there you go.
Oh, that looks nice, real nice.
Yeah, the arrow was just soaked. The only place there wasn't much blood on is where I handled it. Yeah, it's a full metal jacket.
What you got up front?
5mm. I got a slick trick. Where's there you go. 4-blade fixed.
Nice. Yeah,
and I've had real good luck with them. I punched through and broke a rib on the other side exiting. I don't know. They shoot really good with and my older ones I shoot as practice. I like practicing with the broadheads.
Yeah.
The field tips, they shoot really, there isn't a lot of variation, but, you like to shoot with the actual thing, target shoot,
Right.
And I only had one Luminoc left on there. And I said, well, let me practice with that one a couple times, an old broadhead. I'm like, damn, it's shooting good. There's nothing wrong with that arrow. So I'm like, fuck, the Luminoc works. And there's nothing better than watching that Luminoc disappear,
Oh, I know. Especially when it's in the right
blew
spot.
right through. Yeah, just like that bear I shot, watching it disappear into that black, and then with that deer, watching it blow through, and man, it's just fantastic. There's nothing better. I love hunting with a gun and everything, but archery's fun,
Yeah, for sure.
You really, putting it all together with your bow and the opportunity for a shot. It's just a little more work, a little more effort, and when it pays off, you're just tickled,
For sure. And definitely the other part of archery is just how calm the woods are. I mean, they really don't know you're after them yet. So.
Yeah. That's really fun because the weather, it's not brutal cold. You're not freezing your ass off. The deer aren't running around crazy. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. And this is the earliest I've ever shot a deer. I haven't pushed real hard up to the last couple of years to hunt early.
Yeah.
And usually I just waited till the 15th or later, like it used to be. But I've, learned from the past and from talking to guys, get out there early and catch them in their summer pattern, so to speak.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're walking around,
Yeah. I mean, I took a quick hunt on a piece of public on Saturday because like you were saying, we had some weird weather.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to go to camp and blow anything up. They're starting to pop on trail camera, but it's not something we really want to dive into yet because it's not quite there yet.
Right.
But I saw 5 bucks come down the same trail on this public within a matter of 25 minutes. So I think they are still very much so in their summer patterns. They're starting to get a little rowdy and leave scrapes and some rubs, but probably in the next week they're really going to start to wander. But the last 2-3 weeks, you could really kind of catch them in their summer pattern. So,
yeah. Were any of those, were they like grouped together at all, or were they all single?
Yeah, there was 2 and then there was 3.
Yeah. I mean, you don't see that much. I mean, sometimes the younger bucks, you'll see them now and then a couple together, but it's, the other thing I'd noticed, I don't know if you probably have caught the corns maturing and drying out.
Yeah.
Early this year, that buck was feeding on corn. when I was gutting them and stuff like that. I didn't hit any stomach, but I was pulling apart and getting antsy there, and I did pop a little bit of stomach getting them open, but it was kind of cool. He's loaded with corn.
Huh.
And there's so much standing corn around us that they're just hitting the hell out of it. They don't have to travel far to get good feed. Right now.
I think that's the problem I'm having on the farm that I'm hunting close to my house is there's too much corn up and not enough woods for them to hang out in otherwise. So it's just another bedding area and feeding area for them. So they're just not moving.
Oh yeah.
So I think things will progress there, but I think you're right. I think the corn's early. I think the deer are in it. So
yeah.
So you actually, that front that came through Saturday had it almost, I think it was 78 degrees I had in my truck on Saturday afternoon.
Yeah.
And the wind got nasty and it rained a little. And then I want to say it was like in the 50s Sunday morning, wasn't it?
Yeah. It wasn't bad, but it had cooled down a lot.
Yeah.
I mean,
So you definitely caught the tail end of that front, and it sounded like they were moving pretty good. I saw some other ones got shot too. So
yeah, it was weird how they're coming from different directions, and that's the other thing I noticed out there. I only did one other hunt in that stand that previous Saturday evening, but a lot of them just going in different directions. I mean, they're bedding in that thicket and here and there, but they're going to different cornfields and just going all over. There isn't like they have to go one direction. It's pretty interesting,
Yeah.
The corn's mature and they're going just multiple directions,
Yeah. Well, hey, hell of a way to start the season, and try not to keep you too long. It's late here. We got to get to bed. So I appreciate your story and look forward to cutting it up. And I'm sure with the way your season's going, we'll be talking to you again before the end of it.
Yeah. Well, I hope so, but the pressure's off now. I'll tell you
Maybe
what.
I just jinxed you.
Yeah, I know. It's all good. I'm happy.
And we're looking forward. We'll have to do something after our muzzleloader hunt here. Maybe we'll record something there.
Yeah, that'd be fun. We do something Saturday evening or something.
Yeah. So
or afterwards, whatever works for you. Yeah, that'd be fun. Maybe we'll have something good there.
Yeah, we'll have to give it a whirl. So
yeah.
Congratulations, and we'll catch you here in a couple of days.
Yeah, sounds good. Thanks, Jim.
Thank you.
I'm really impressed. I gotta tell you, you figured it out, man.
Yeah, listen, I'm not too tech savvy. I'm really not.
So riddle me this: how the hell do you have an Instagram but you don't have a smartphone?
I'm joking. It was a joke. I do have a smartphone.
Oh, well, you made this way more difficult. I could have emailed you the link. You could have clicked one button and you would have gotten into
I don't have email on my phone though. I have no email on my phone.
You're living the dream, man. You just keep doing you.
I do. I try to separate business and pleasure. I keep all my work shit on my iPad, and then trust me.
There's something to be said for that.
For sure. I don't, technology is not my thing.
Nope. That is okay. So Justin Pfalzer is that how you say your last name?
Yes, sir.
Fuck. I mean, I'm just 3 for 3 over the last 3 podcasts, just killing it. So I wanted to get you on here. You were successful last week. I think, what was that, Thursday or Friday last week?
Yep, October 8th,
Thursday night. Okay. So this is going to be part of our Breedinum Radio for this week. So I want to kind of just run through the story, get a little background. So first, I guess, introduce yourself. You don't have to say exactly where you're from unless you want to, but you kind of give a general idea to the listeners where you're from and what you're hunting, where your hunting is focused at.
Name is Justin Pfalzer from East Pembroke, Genesee County. I hunt. It's a different topography. I hunt some swampland. I like to call it urban, suburban areas where, there's tons of houses, but yet it butts up the crop fields and a little pieces of timber and ag. And that's, people don't focus on little pieces of ag and or timber, and they can overlook stuff like that. And that's what I like to focus on.
Nice. Yeah, there's a lot of that there in Genesee County. a lot of opportunity like that, these little communities and housing developments, but there's a lot of ag too. So definitely a lot of that out there.
Yep. Yeah. And it's a place I killed this buck had a standing cornfield that was planted super late, so it's really green, and I just feel like that almost had something to do with how many deer in the general area right now.
So let's roll right into that then. So roll us through the story. So it's we're only 8 days into season and you already got a good buck on the ground. So was this a deer that you kind of were after, or knew about, had pictures of, anything of that nature?
Yeah, I've definitely been getting pictures of them in the past since mid-September. A batch or group of bucks had pushed into the area. They weren't nothing regular, but they had pushed into the area, and there was at least 2 or 3 shooters in this batch or group. And come first week of October, he definitely became very, very, I wouldn't say patternable, but very. He was on. I had an 18-acre piece I have permission on, and I had 3 cameras there, and he was on all of them and in daylight. So I knew he was in the area. I knew he was bedding close. I was catching him on daylight, so it was a no-brainer to go after him.
So did you go after him prior to Thursday, or did something happen on Thursday with the weather or just your schedule? What was it that got you out there Thursday?
No, actually, the first day of the season, I did hunt that area. Had a doe and 2 fawns come in, nothing left, and I had hunted that property also that next Saturday, so I'm not exactly sure the date. That Saturday, I hunted in the morning, and I had 2 small bucks messing around on the edge of a CRP field, and those 2 small bucks were hanging with all the rest of the batcher group. So I had high hopes I would see something that morning, and nothing. And then I pulled all the cameras 2 days prior to hunting it, and I waited a day, and then I knew that the forecast was just good with like a little bit of rain stop, and I'm like, I've had good luck when stuff like that is happening.
So you moved in Thursday night, and so was your setup? Were you on the edge, or did you kind of press in there, assuming that he was bedding in that 18 acres, or how was your setup?
I definitely anticipated him bedding behind in this 18 acres for sure. He was. There's a thick area behind a couple of houses that I know they love to bed in, and I had anticipated him bedding in there just because I was catching them. There was an acorn tree in this 18 acres on the edge of a cornfield. It was getting hammered. I could tell there was a sign all over it, and so I went in there and hung and hunted, and I caught him on the trail that he was using. So it worked out perfect.
So what you're saying is that it was just easy. You just went in there.
No,
he walked in.
Not at all. It's one of my first hanging hunts that really, where I was like, man, when you play chess, when you say checkmate, it felt like that, But yeah. That's one of the first I've hanging hunted that it really worked out like that. That's
pretty cool. So it was. You went in there. Had you ever hung a stand in that tree? Was that your first time ever in that exact spot? It was just straight up. It was just based off a sign, right?
First time in that tree. October 1st. I had probably hunted 75 yards deeper into the block of woods, and this time, just based on the wind, I hung back another 75 yards, and on the trail that I kept catching them coming out to the edge of this cornfield on one particular trail. And I basically hang and hunted to hunt that trail.
Nice. So in kind of just trying to visualize a spot, and it's something that I'm thinking about personally with a couple deer that I'm after. Were you kind of flirting with the wind a little bit, or were you completely off the wind? I know there's been a lot of talk on different podcasts about kind of giving the deer their wind that they want, and then you trying to hunt off of that. Was that any factor of what you were doing?
A lot. I believe, I mean, just in our area, it seems like we have a west wind majority of the time. And I got right on the edge of the cornfield. I was only, 5 yards into the block of timber. And I knew my wind was blowing right into the corn. As long as he didn't come out of the corn, I had him, I was on just 20 yards from the trail I anticipated him on.
It's awesome. So he came marching down. How early did he get up out of his bed? Was he up pretty early or?
Well, a doe and 3 fawn bucks had come out a half hour prior to him. And one fawn buck went to the right of me. The other 3 went right down that trail I shot him on. And they went right to this acorn tree and were eating on the acorn tree 25 yards from me for a half hour. Heard a creak behind me. And, I knew not to turn and look, but I did. I turned my head probably 75 degrees to the right, and I could see him probably 85 yards away. I felt like he was just staring right through me. So I kept my head still and just kept looking at him for about 2 to 3 minutes. And he put his head down and started moseying around. I was like, okay, I'm going to slowly turn my head back around and just sit here and just not look back again. I know he's going to come either right or left of me. And then, I guesstimated about 15 minutes later, he is literally at the base of my tree smelling it. And I was like, oh no, he's too close. Yeah. And so he was in. The thing is, the doe and the fawns were like still scattering around eating the acorns, and the doe was literally watching him walk out the whole time. And she was probably 25 yards in front of me, just like looking under my tree right at this deer. And so I was very cautious about grabbing my bow with her right there. And he's at the base of my tree and my bow is still on the hanger. And I'm like, oh no. And he like kind of bound off 10, 20 yards and got right on that trail that I was hunting him on. And I looked over at the doe. She wasn't looking at me. Grabbed my bow, clipped up, looked again. She wasn't looking. Drew, and he was just slowly walking down that trail. And Susie put his right leg forward. I just like, oh no, there's your opportunity, And I got my pin on him and let it go.
Just let it rip.
Yep.
That's awesome. So I mean, it just sounds like that hunt came together exactly the way you wanted it to. And I'm trying to think back to Thursday night, because there was kind of some weather that pushed through Thursday, right? So it was kind of, it wasn't super. Wasn't super calm, was it?
I got in the stand and there was like a good solid, probably 10 mile per hour wind going west. Got in the stand within probably an hour into the stand. It just sprinkled for maybe a half hour, and then it stopped and it got a little sunny and the deer just started moving. That's when the doe and the fawns came right out. And I've had a lot of success on days that like the weather goes back and forth like that.
Yeah, it's an interesting point. Yeah, now that I think back, yeah, I would agree with that statement. It seems like, and it's typically quieter too, and it's more advantageous for you to get in the woods to hunt. It's super tough on days when it's dry and it's quiet and it's beautiful. It's like you're like stepping on eggshells walking into the woods. But
Absolutely. Like I said, there was probably a 10 mile per hour breeze walking in, and I walked on the edge of the cornfield and I just tippy-toed along. But I feel like the breeze helped for sure. And, like you said, the weather, but it was also, I remember sitting in the stand at one point and the wind had died down after that little front came through, and I just dropped milkweed and it was falling straight down. So I almost feel like that buck had maybe it spelled me, because he bound off a couple yards and got on that trail. I mean, he wasn't acting super spooked, but he also didn't smell something he didn't like at the base of my tree.
Right.
So
it's interesting. So was it a good clean shot? You put it right through the pump room or what?
I called my buddy Tommy and I was like, I'm pretty sure I just heart shot this deer. It was probably, I've doubled the quarter and away shot is just ideally what you want. And I would think about it. As soon as I saw that right shoulder go forward, I was like, he just punched my tag.
Just stuffed it right in there.
Yep. Yeah. He went 40 yards and I heard him pile up.
It's awesome. So what would you say, first off, congratulations. It's an awesome buck. Great representation of what we've got going on here in Western New York. And it's just great to see that. I love seeing guys locally putting good deer on the ground. What would be, maybe a couple takeaways or pointers that you took away from the hunt that you would share with the listeners if they're heading out in the coming weeks?
Look where the sign is. That acorn tree was hot in there. They were hammering that acorn tree on the edge of the cornfield. I mean, there's like a social scrape on the edge of it every year, but this acorn tree was just littering acorns the whole time, and that doe and fawn were eating on them all the whole time. So there's not a doubt in my mind that they were all in that area for that acorn tree. A cornfield that was planted super late. The corn's still green right now, and it's mid-October. I've seen half the corn's been picked already.
Right.
So they planted that really late, and that's just odd. So I mean, I walk the edge of it and just see all the crop damage. There's deer in there like crazy.
Yeah. I think that's a great tip, great pointer, and something that everybody should listen to, including myself, is that hunt the sign. I think there's good and bad of historical places and stands where you've always gone to, but right now it is just like the next couple weeks, especially. I don't know if you run any cell phone cameras, but our cameras are just blowing up over the last couple days of bucks, creating new scrapes, multiple bucks hitting scrapes throughout the day and night. So things are really starting to heat up. So focus on the sign right now.
For sure. It's hard to forget about good areas that you've had good success in. I mean, this is a piece that I've had success on before, and I have bigger deer to go after this year, but this one was just, being very visible, just daylighting on camera. And, when you do that 3 or 4 times to me on in daylight, I'm going to go after you if you're a shooter,
Oh, for sure, man. Yeah. You got to take opportunity when it's given to you. You don't get too many chances like that. So.
No. And I'm not too picky. I like anything that's a mature buck, and a 3.5-year-old in New York is something I target every year, 3.5 or older.
Yep. Amen to that. Well, you got anything else to share with us here? Any words of wisdom from a big buck killer?
No. Stay away from the technology. I have no cell cam still. I'm very cautious of how I check them, but don't believe all the technology stuff.
Yeah. Well, you can believe all you want there. The jury's out. We've kind of gone all in on the cell camera game, and it'll be interesting to see if it helps us actually kill anything this year. It's great to know what's there, but is it actually going to help us connect the dots to put a good one on the ground? We'll see.
It depends on where you put them. I mean, I like to put them on areas that are super easily accessible, especially like on this little piece. I mean, I put them on four-wheeler trails where I basically have to step off the four-wheeler and check them. So if you're doing them in an area where you're not creating a lot of disturbance, it's not a big deal.
Yep. Agreed. For sure. It's not necessary. I think you bring up a good point. I'm all in on technology. I love the stuff, but you can get overwhelmed with it and obsessed with it, and it can almost distract you from actually just getting out there and being in the woods. You almost get too pinned to it. So it's a healthy reminder.
Yep. So I appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, I appreciate you coming on. I appreciate you following along with us over the last year or two. You've been a pretty consistent follower, so we appreciate you and what you're doing out there to help us. So thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. I like you, but what you boys are doing, keep out putting good content and keeping it to the average hunter, that everybody's just trying to get better,
Amen to that. I love it. Take it easy. And one of these days, hopefully we cross paths and can grab an adult beverage.
Yes, sir.
All right, buddy. Take it easy. Good luck the rest of the season.
You too.
All right. See ya.